I'm Them, pronounced with extra and this is Them's Facts.
Welcome to Them's Facts, where humans refuse to die on schedule. We're going to look at 10 times people defied the odds, sometimes horrifically, to walk away from near disaster. Falling from airplanes, getting struck by lightning 7 times, cutting off their own arm. One even rose from the dead at her own funeral. Let's check them out now. Number 10, Anatoly Bugorsky, the man who put his head in a particle accelerator. In 1978, Soviet physicist Anatoly Bugorsky accidentally stuck his head inside a malfunctioning particle accelerator during a test. I hate it when that happens. He was struck by a proton beam traveling at nearly the speed of light, estimated to be 200,000 times more powerful than a standard X-ray. He reported seeing a flash brighter than 1,000 suns, but felt no pain. Doctors expected him to die within days from brain damage and radiation exposure. He didn't. Instead, he became a Marvel superhero named Glow. Just kidding. But he did survive. Number 9. Julienne Kopke, the girl who walked out of the sky. In 1971, lightning struck a passenger plane over the Peruvian rainforest, causing it to break apart mid-air. 17-year-old Julienne Kopke fell 10,000 feet, that's over 2 miles, while still strapped to her airplane seat, and survived the landing as it crashed through the jungle canopy, which slowed her fall just enough to keep her alive. Injured, alone, and with insects already colonizing her wounds, I wish critters came to me like that. Anyway, she then walked for 11 days through the Amazon rainforest before finding help. She walked out of a jungle that routinely kills people who arrive willingly and prepared. You go, girl! Number 8. Roy C. Sullivan, the human lightning rod. Between 1942 and 1977, U.S. Park Ranger Roy Cleveland Sullivan was hit by lightning 7 separate times and survived every one of them. He was struck while standing in a lookout tower, in his truck, in his front yard, in a ranger station, and once inside his office. His hair caught fire multiple times. He started carrying a bucket of water in his truck just in case. Lightning once hit him, knocked his hat off, and then chased him, hitting him again moments later. Guinness World Records officially recognizes him as the man struck by lightning the most times. Sullivan passed away in 1983 at the age of 71. At that point, he was well done. Number 7. Aaron Ralston, the man who amputated his own arm to live. In 2003, climber Aaron Ralston was hiking alone in Utah's Blue John Canyon when an 800-pound boulder shifted and crushed his right arm, pinning it to the canyon wall. For 5 days, he rationed his water, recorded goodbye messages to his family, and carved his name and expected death date into the rock. When infection set in and dehydration worsened, survival instincts kicked in. So, using a multi-tool, not even a proper knife, he broke his own bones, amputated his arm, rappelled 65 feet down a cliff, hiked 6 miles, and found help. Good Lord! His arm stayed in the canyon, but he brought back an amazing party story. The ordeal was chronicled in the 2010 film 127 Hours, starring James Franco. Number 6. A mind-altering experience. In 1848, Phineas Gage, a railroad foreman in Vermont, was packing blasting powder when an accidental explosion sent a 3-foot 7-inch, 13.5-pound iron tamping rod straight through his head. It entered his cheek, passed through the frontal lobe of his brain, and exited through the top of his skull. Amazingly, he remained conscious, could speak, and later walked with assistance. You could also say His iron level spiked. He lived for 12 more years, though his personality changed, leading to one of the most important early discoveries about how the brain affects behavior and decision-making. His survival helped science understand the human brain, long before modern neuroscience existed.
Number 5. Anna Bagan home, frozen under ice for 80 minutes. Came back alive.
In 1999, while skiing in Norway, Anna Bagan home fell into a frozen stream and was trapped underwater for 80 minutes. Her body submerged and exposed to freezing temperatures. By the time she was pulled out, her core body temperature had dropped to around 13.7 degrees Celsius, 56.7 degrees Fahrenheit, a level that normally causes irreversible organ and brain damage. Thanks to immediate medical intervention and the extreme slowdown of metabolic processes in hypothermia, she survived. She made a recovery and returned to work, defying what should have been fatal odds.
Number 4. Maurice Bailey and Marilyn Bailey, drifting 118 days on the Pacific in a rubber raft. In 1973, British couple Maurice and Marilyn Bailey were aboard a small yacht when a storm sank their vessel. They ended up adrift on a rubber raft in the open Pacific Ocean. For 118 days, they survived on rainwater, fish they caught, and sheer persistence, all while floating hundreds of miles from land. When rescue finally came, they were alive, although a touch salty from the experience.
Number 3. Lincoln Hall, declared dead on Everest, woke up and descended alive. In 2006, on Mount Everest summit attempt, Lincoln Hall suffered altitude sickness so severe that rescue climbers thought he was dead. He was left behind, presumed dead, above 28,000 feet in the death zone, with no oxygen, no shelter, and no medical help. The next morning, a second rescue group returned, expecting to recover a body. Instead, they found Hall sitting up, changing his shirt, alive. Though frostbitten and hallucinating, he walked safely down the mountain with a team of Sherpas.
Number 2. Vesna Volovic, the woman who fell 33,000 feet in 1972. A plane exploded mid-air over Czechoslovakia. Vesna Volovic, a flight attendant, fell 33,333 feet without a parachute, the highest fall any human has ever survived.
I wonder what the prior record was. You'd hate to go through all that just to miss out by a few feet. Anyway, she landed on a snowy hillside inside a section of the plane's fuselage, broke almost everything, fell into a coma, then woke up and asked for a cigarette. Sassy. While she couldn't defy gravity, she did dodge the Reaper that day.
Number 1. Declared dead. The woman who crashed her own funeral.
In Ecuador in 2023, 76-year-old Bella Montoya was declared dead at a hospital after suffering a suspected stroke. A doctor signed the death certificate. Her body was taken to a funeral home and placed in a coffin for the wake. 5 hours into the service, as relatives gathered, prayed, and prepared for burial, they heard faint knocking from inside the coffin. Never a good sign. They opened the lid. She was breathing, moving her hand, and very much alive, just severely unresponsive. She was rushed back to the hospital, where officials called it a case of catalepsy, a rare condition where a person appears dead with no detectable pulse, but isn't. She didn't just attend her own funeral, she stole the show.
That was Them's Facts. You now know more than you did before. See you in the next one. Flatten the like button, whisper to subscribe, tickle the notification bell, agitate the algorithm. I'll be waiting.